Yeah, I'll hit the there. I hit the record, and that way Mark doesn't have to. No one's going to hear your embarrassing admission. Um, let's
Oh,
see what number we're on. It is number. Oh, that's the wrong list.
I'm trying to find it, and for some reason my brain is not looking. 46. Wait, that doesn't make sense.
No way.
78. Episode
I
46.
was looking at the wrong list.
It's
Yeah.
78 on the Poopins list.
Okay.
In at number 78, it's the end of the never-ending story.
No, you see at the end he says that the story will continue as it didn't
Yeah.
did
So
not.
Well, he
I
says it's his
actually,
favorite part, and then it ends.
yeah, I was gonna say like that's the one time I agreed with the character in this.
Well, first there's
I
a
did
freeze
actually.
frame. There's a big
I,
freeze frame, and then he says he likes when this shit ends.
I
I,
did actually look up Neverending Story a little bit on Wikipedia, and I now understand why the book is called The Neverending Story, but none
yes.
of the films do the bit that makes it never-ending.
Yeah, the what's his name? The author of the books says, quote, those the two
Enda.
films, yes, the two films, the first two films, you need to address this one. Gigantic melodrama made of kitchen commerce, plush and plastic. And
He tried to sue the first one
yes, and
because it
lost.
was so far removed from his book. He wanted the name changed.
And for this pod, maybe not necessarily entirely for this podcast, but I watched all of them this week. I'd never
You
seen
watched the
any of them.
second one? I've never
I
seen the
watched the
second one.
second one.
See, I said
Um,
I kind of wanted to watch the second one because I was a fan of 90s Flash, which is not good if you go and rewatch it, but I liked it at the time, so I kind of want to see it because he was in it, but then it, looked like terrible crap, so I
um,
didn't.
I'll try not to. Basically, I did that so I wouldn't have to keep asking you guys questions about the other movies.
Okay,
But
we might ask you a question
also,
about the second one then.
well,
So
also because
I watched the first one over and over as a kid, and I definitely had one of the sequels. And looking at the timeline, I think it must have been the second one because this one didn't come out until like 10 years after the first film.
Right.
and it also didn't come out in. Well, I think it was hard to get if you weren't in Germany. Like it
I mean,
came
I
out
was at least
straight
in
to
Europe,
video.
so
Yeah,
Do all
I
of the
don't
movies
know.
credits run in German? Because this one's the credits are running like half in German, and then I'm like,
Dude,
oh, is this going to be dubbed?
the second one has a fair amount of German, but I could have just been watching a Europe version. But basically, the interesting thing about the trilogy is that, well, number one, I feel like the first one inspired the Star Wars prequels, and that's more of a vibe than anything else. I don't have like
you
actual
just like
points.
from the princess and stuff.
The vagueness of it, like I've gone on a lot about how I don't like when things are over explained. The first movie explains nothing. It's like, hey, here's Falcor. Hi, Falcor, and that's it.
And
Really,
Falcor's
it's
not
just,
an
hi,
idiot
Rockman.
like he is in this
Yeah,
movie.
Falcor is not just the fucking worst.
He must have
But
crashed like on his head a few times.
but yeah, the interesting thing to me is just that Bastion is reading the book in the first one, and
Hmm.
Atreyu is the star of the film. So this is basically a Shark Boy Lava Girl situation. Wait, did I get those animals right? Yeah, Shark Boy Lava
Yeah,
Girl.
yeah, that
Lava's
that
not an
famous animal
animal.
lava.
In the second movie, Bastion is just in fantasy land. He's like, "Hey, how's it going, everybody? I'm here," and he's just there. Not only that, but he basically betrays Atreyu and kills him, and has to bring him back to life because he gets influenced by an evil, sexy queen with a awesome Italian disco influenced outfit.
Still didn't make it to
And
the third.
yeah, and then it's just Bastion in the third one, and
The so the first and second books are basically the first and second halves of the book. So the first and
yes,
second film.
the MacGuffin in the second movie is this necklace that turns you invisible, which you see in the third one in this movie a lot, but it doesn't do a whole lot of invisibling because obviously they can't afford that. Um,
They couldn't afford
but
Fantasia. This is the Master of
Surely
the
it
Universe
is.
thing. Literally,
Yeah, no,
literally the
Fantasia.
Master of the Universe thing where they
But
can't afford Fantasia.
sorry, but
Yeah.
the interest, the whole point I was trying to make is that this trilogy of films is basically like if Edward Norton just replaced Tyler Durden gradually by the end of Fight Club. Like,
That would
so
have been
it's just
cool. I could have lived with
no,
that.
no. What I mean, it's just, I guess that is sort of what happened, but no. Atreyu in the first movie is great, and I love
Mm.
that character. I love the actor. It's gone. Everybody's recast twice.
Also, yeah, it's weird because now when you do a sequel 10 years later, you would, acknowledge that 10 years have passed. Whereas this
3 years
is,
passed.
they just recast them and like nothing is
I think
like it's
old school Hollywood would
10
do
years
that more with
later, but
kids.
yeah. Like
Yeah, and
you would do a legacy sequel now, right? Where,
that's the thing. Yeah, now it's like
he
you
has
have to
his
get
kid or whatever.
Bill Murray back, or you don't even make your damn movie.
Ooh.
Basically,
Yeah.
like, and the
They
thing
would
is, the
rather
first,
CGI Luke Skywalker than recast him.
yeah, the first movie, I didn't think it was great, but it is very German, which is interesting. It
Ein
feels like
deutsches Movie.
something different. It feels like something
It has a
foreign. It feels
unique
something different.
vibe, definitely. Whereas
Yeah,
this
and
film has nothing
Well, they
unique
were trying to
about
make
it.
yeah,
this one more American, so it appealed to the American audience, which it didn't. Got released 2 years later and made no money. So
yeah.
I guess it did make its budget back worldwide, though. So good,
The
I
good for
mean,
it.
the budget, I presume, was not
It was less than.
enormous.
It was much less than the
uh,
first one.
every time they did that effect where someone was just cranking the zoom really fast, I wrote in my notes that it was the worst effect I've ever seen.
Shaky
Oh, well,
cam.
whenever they
Mad.
that was the like moving between worlds effect. Yeah, I
It
hate that.
it was
They used it for
everything.
something else later as well, I think.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They used it for like
They have to
six
come back
things.
eventually. Yeah. I should throw out, as I was telling you guys, I'm hepped up on cold medicine day. So if your points
All
take more than
right.
5 seconds, you've lost me. I guess I should do an intro
Okay.
this deep in. Films and Filth, Matt here, Mark there, Luke there, finished. Okay. That's all I'm doing
Yeah.
for an intro today.
Matt's on cold
Bye
medicine.
bye,
Luke
Nick.
is a giant, has transformed into a giant L.
Yeah. That's how the world of using your
It's a
cellular
video
data
joke.
works.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will read a summary, I guess.
For the audio listeners, it sounds like Mark's just calling me a loser.
Luke takes the L.
Get this out of the way. Also, I wrote this right
Falcor
before the
takes the L.
podcast, so we'll see how this reads. Bastian Balthazar Bucks, the savior of Fantasia, is now 13 years old and starting high school. He'll be accompanied by his new sister, Nicole, as his father is just remarried. At school, Bastian meets the Nasties, a group of hooligans who chase him around the school. Bastian finds a Neverending storybook in the library and escapes to Fantasia. The Nasties work out what happened and take the book to their mall lair. In Fantasia, Bastian is reunited with the gnomes, rock, and tree creatures, the Luck Dragon, and the Empress. Unfortunately, the Nasties have taken control of Fantasia using the book, and it is now becoming a hellscape. The Empress sends Bastian back to Earth using the Aran medallion to right things, but accidentally sends several Fantasians as well, who end up scattered across North America. As Bastian reunites the Fantasians, Sister Nicole runs off to the mall with the Aran to use its wish power to pilfer a bunch of clothes. The Nasties also realize having the Aran and the book will give them control of reality. There's a lot of, I've got it, alas no, I've got it, at the mall, and the Nasties briefly make everyone on Earth nasty. Of course, Bastian and the Fantasians prevail in the end, Fantasia is restored, and Bastian's family becomes unnastified. Of course, the story never ends, except it did with this movie.
No, that's very thorough. I would have sure cut a lot more corners than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think this movie was good, even though when I started it, I was like, oh, this isn't really any worse than the other two. It was at some point when I realized that the Nasties weren't going to do anything. Because in the beginning, you sort of think, oh man, these look like some shady characters. But the other thing
Like,
is that
they were the most bizarre villains. Like, one of
yeah.
them looked like a 40-year-old man.
I mean, that was sort of the joke, was that
Like,
they failed the
it's high
12th
school.
grade for 30 times.
Yeah, I at first like the age disparity is way too much here, but then I was kind of like, well, okay, maybe everyone at the school fails. Also, it seems to be a pretty wide range high school because Bastion's 13. So, I mean, my high school is like that. Apparently, Jack Black refused to talk about this movie for like 20 years in interviews.
Yes. Another thing that I thought was really fucking stupid, like more than once, was the beginning. The first movie that they're trying to stop the darkness. The second movie they're trying to stop the emptiness. This movie they're trying to stop the nasty.
Wasn't
So
the nothing in the
which
first
one
one?
of us? So
This is
which
the
one of us is
abstinent
the
one.
darkness? Which one of us is the emptiness? And which one of us is
No,
the nasty?
the first one was the nothing. That is correct.
Oh, it was nothing? Oh, I just
Yeah.
actually said it wrong. Okay. So which one of us is the nothing? Which one of us is the emptiness? Which one of us is the nasty?
I'm the emptiness because I'm not really here today.
But I would say Matt's the nasty because he's got the nasties going on.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you can go with that.
I think I'm
going
kind of like
from
the
a
emptiness.
I'm the
because I'm
nothing
depressed.
because I
There's
don't
no
have my
end
video
until
on. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm the emptiness because I'm kind of depressed. So yeah, that
Ah,
works.
man. I'm sorry, man.
It's chemical. I'll get through it.
Is that too on the nose for what's on the Zoom screen? Maybe, I don't know. I did
Wait,
take a
what?
lot of breaks to do research for this movie. I did like Mark levels of research because one, I had time,
Yeah.
two, I was high on cold mess, and three, it gave me reasons to pause the movie. So of course I was like, who's the old guy? Freddie Jones, that sounds familiar. Oh, we talked about what Space 1999 like 3 weeks ago. He was in Journey to Where as the controller of New Texas City.
I might have said the name of the movie knowing that we would come across it.
Oh, you might have. Maybe
so,
you planted a mind seed for me.
So then you probably found that the guy who plays Bastion was the star of Free Willy's 1, 2, and 3.
That's on the
I
poster,
did find
dude.
that.
The poster
Oh,
says
okay.
that. It's like star
I
of
didn't see
Free
the
Willy.
poster.
Yeah, they were all for giving that. And not that he's like particularly good. I mean, did this in Free Willy. Is that it? They do
the highest rated Free Willy is at 6.0. So
that's a lot higher than this. That must be the first one, I assume.
That's fair. That's higher
I
rated than
used
Neverending Story too.
I used to quite like the Free Willy, at least the first one as a kid. But the last time I watched it, that's the film they aired after Princess Diana's funeral on the BBC. So Princess Diana's funeral was like an all-day TV event. And then it was like, and now Free Willy.
Somehow that makes sense, but I can't put into words why.
I remember, and this is 20, 25 years ago, I remember that I said, oh, Free Willy, that seems like a weird thing to play. They should play something sad, like the episode of Airwolf where Airwolf dies.
Judgment at Nuremberg, they show that.
Yeah.
Well, Airwolf is
Airwolf's cool too.
Much
That's an
better
episode,
than
though.
this
That's
Falcor.
not a movie, so they couldn't show that.
I used to love Airwolf as a kid.
This Falcor, every movie is a different. They even recast Falcor. The only thing that is carried over is
lobotomized Falcor.
Mr. Coriander is the same in the first and second movies, and the guy who they have in this movie looks like that guy. So I had to look up whether it was the same guy. But yeah, what the hell, dude? Falcor is like a complete moron, and
everyone's a moron. Fantasia is like seems to sap your brain power.
And why did they take basically rip off the baby from Dinosaurs and then make that the whole I kept calling it Not the Mama in my notes because it's just the baby from Dinosaurs, that rock
this
baby.
was 1994, so Dinosaurs was pretty popular.
Yeah. And they did hire the Henson Creature Shop for this, so it's still the Henson Creature Shop. I mean, I guess that's the one
Bears
thing
is like 7
Yeah, I mean, the puppets do still look good.
Yeah, it's just what they're saying and doing sucks. There was a couple scenes, though. I think it was when it goes back. Oh, the nasty part. When the nasties are taking control of the rock house. I was like, okay, this is like the Muppet Show in acid. I guess I like this a little bit.
There's like all Dutch angles and strobe lights, which is
screaming chicken creatures.
Yeah, theoretically
her husband with a hammer.
Well, they are made of rocks.
Yeah.
And basically the rock dad was basically Cookie Monster. We want rocks.
And the pop culture references, what was up with that? Oh, he's no Arnold Schwarzenegger. You don't know who that is.
Apparently they do.
Apparently they do, because he's been there before and he told them everything.
That'd be
But
awesome. if
also
Arnold
because
Schwarzenegger-
apparently their lives are so boring, they just sit around watching Our World on a fucking magical TV screen.
That was cool. I
So
like the magical TV screen that and the weird animation that was on there. I was excited about that.
Yeah,
oh, the rock people. Yeah. No, I meant like the princess just sits and watches events on Our World through her little fucking
Oh, if
screen.
you come on, if you had that TV, that would be a hit at parties.
well, I'm not entirely clear. That time when the princess is like, "Why haven't I used this magic amulet to steal dresses?"
She's an
Was she
empress.
under influence, or was that just the monarchy being fucking terrible?
I think
They're
that was just
inbred.
the writing being terrible.
Okay, it makes sense. So I feel like she would at least say, "No, don't do that," or something like that. Not like, "Yeah, I should steal dresses."
I guess they were making her like naive.
Yeah.
But not childlike. Because she's supposed to be
Yeah, which is
No,
12.
the
she's no
childlike
longer
empress
childlike.
is meant to be.
Now she's like the 20-year-old empress with really big eyes. It's like she was trying to
Mhm.
keep her eyes as wide open as possible in order to look younger or crazier or something.
Well, yeah, I guess she was
To stay
she was a
awake during the
presence.
making of this film.
She was there.
One of my
Um,
other dumb trivia dumps, two, which Mark, you said you watched, was directed by
mhm.
George Miller, but not that
Yes,
George Miller,
not
another
that
one.
George Miller.
Because like it could be that George Miller. He made Babe 2, Pig in the City. So why and Happy Feet. He could have made this, but he didn't.
No, if you watched it, well,
Quality, though, you could tell
the
he didn't
direction.
make this.
That's the second
The
one though, not
second
this
one
one.
No,
is
but
a
even
well
so.
directed.
Oh, okay, even so, you're probably. I haven't seen it. I'm just
Yeah.
giving the benefit
It's not
of the
George Miller quality.
doubt.
It's not George Miller quality, but I do think that the second one, the direction is not the problem. The problem is the writing. It's just and Jonathan Brandis, who's Bastion in that, is actually really going for it. He's a huge star.
Yeah, here I was like the I guess the worst thing about the direction here was the fight choreography, which was mostly
Mhm.
like shots of people grabbing the medallion and swinging the medallion. And that one scene where it's like, oh, you know kung fu, and then he just kind of does like some half-ass kick, like he really did.
So
Yeah,
depressing.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
like because that is the only tension in the film. How is he going to take care of this group of ruffians 5 or more years older than him? You know?
and it was they were so wasted because the thing is those guys really had a I mean, Jack Black, a lot of this movie to me was like Jack Black and the girl who plays Nicole just like scenery chewing and trying to steal each other's like actor kid energy, whatever you call it. What do you call it? Stage
Stage
kid,
presence.
stage
Screen
presence.
presence.
I'm just saying, what do you call like somebody who went to school for theater? Theater kid.
Theater
That's
kid.
what I'm
Oh,
right.
okay. Well,
Theater kid
interesting.
energy.
Yeah, Nicole is Melody Kay, who only
Uh-huh.
showed up in this and Camp Nowhere, basically.
And then
It,
a bunch of TV roles.
no, it's like
Well,
four TV roles and two
It's
TV
more than you or
movies.
me.
Yeah,
Well, this
more
is
than us. No, I'm just noting that it's clearly a child actor who was
well,
like, "Let's get out of this as soon as possible."
well, according to the bio that she wrote for herself on IMDb, she spent 17 years as a stay-at-home mom, but is proud to announce her return to the acting industry and will be in a horror film that just wrapped filming in May 2024 now.
Nice.
Okay.
So good for her. I don't know, since she had a whole scene where she was singing and playing the guitar and all that stage presence, I was like, this is somebody who is definitely a star or needs to be a star, and then she kind of just wasn't.
Well, you get
So,
Camp Nowhere as well, which I don't even know if I've seen. It has
well,
stars Christopher Lloyd. That doesn't mean it's good, but
I mean, just because this movie didn't kill Jack Black's career doesn't mean it couldn't have killed other people's careers.
no one even remembers that Jack Black was in anything this early, right? So you can get away with it.
I mean, wasn't he in Mars Attacks?
That was like a couple years after us.
96. It was pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I guess same theatrical release in the States. Again, this I think hold on, domestic domestic would mean Germany in this case. American gross for
Domestic.
this was what's this 5 million Germany? It doesn't even
Does it
say
tell
what
you
made in the
gross
States.
for video rentals?
Oh no, I was looking for theatrical, but I feel like I read somewhere it said this made like $250,000 gross in America, which is
Well, it
wildly
says
depressing.
5 million box office in Germany on a budget of 25 million. So didn't make no 5
But
million
5
here.
million watts would it have been like 5 million Deutschmarks or whatever at that point in time?
Oh, you know what?
I
Maybe
think
I was
dollars,
accidentally
but
looking
I
at the
don't
second
know.
one, which made money. Okay, maybe this one did not make money.
I mean, Wikipedia, it's in Wikipedia, so I think it was translated to
Oh,
American Deutschmarks. What?
oh, I just think I caught some. Do I recognize the name? I was
What?
just the music for this blue, right?
Oh, it was the
Hmm.
worst soundtrack for anything I've almost ever heard.
I was about to say that he has a similar name to the guy that did the Saved by the Bell music, but it's a different man. He did do the music for
Uh,
Weekend at Bernie's too.
oh
So
man, remind me to never watch
Peter
that.
Wolf. Don't you want to know what happens to Bernie?
Did he
He
come back to
rots.
life?
They tried to make it look like I think he came back to actually I think the second one is like a voodoo thing where he like instead of them just trying to manipulate a corpse, like he comes back to life as kind of a zombie.
They should do one where someone cuts him open and goes inside of him as a smaller person and like
That maybe that's
puppeteers him.
Right, is
three.
it like a skin suit?
Yeah,
Yes,
that might
they
be
should do
three.
that.
There's also Men in Black if you need
Um,
it.
well,
Black
here's
is
a
wearing
really
an
That's
Edgar suit.
that's true. That's very
Swiss
true.
Army Man.
Yes. Very boring tagline for this movie. It's a brand new beginning and the adventure that never ends.
What has a lot of adjectives in it, I guess.
If there's a new beginning, surely that it must have ended at some point prior to this.
It could just
It's
gone
a
on
Mobius
hiatus.
strip.
Neverending Story can go on hiatus, I think. I
Well,
hope
the estate of the original author has gotten the rights back to this, and they are developing a series of films now. So
okay.
hopefully that will be good. Because this is I wasn't crazy about the first movie, but it had potential. So I'm like, especially reading what the story of the book is. So I do think that this could be something. Not this
Yeah,
movie. This
I
movie
saw
will
the first
die.
one like at least 5 times growing up. So I was pretty,
Yeah.
The
yeah.
first movie is like does have like some nostalgia cred. So I'm wondering if people will actually take to, oh, here's one that's closer to the book, but most people are going to want to go in there for nostalgia for the film. So I wonder if that might actually go poorly.
There's needles you could thread, but yeah, like if they retain some of the look but make this, I don't know.
I feel like most people's entire concept of the Neverending Story is that song combined with riding Falcor. Like
not in part three.
That's the whole thing about why I was fine with watching all the movies because I love Giorgio Moroder. So I'm just gonna like jam out to the song while watching a guy ride a Falcor. I thought the horse death scene that's been memed to death was pretty poorly done, and you don't really see the horse, but for like 30 seconds before the horse dies. For the record, somebody's really mad at listening to this podcast. Me saying
They're
that
coming after you.
it's literally like they just cut
You'll have
to
to
like
move to
they cut
Japan
away
to
from
stay
the
away from
horse
them.
and they cut back to the horse and the horse is deeper and they're like the horse is dying of sadness and the horse just looks confused. It's like what the fuck? Why am I in a pond? And he's just screaming at the horse and the horse is just like, why are you screaming at me? You're scaring me.
Would
like,
you like this movie better if that scene was in there?
if they just put it in the middle?
Now it's
Yeah,
Falcor.
Sure.
Falcor drowning in the mud.
Falcor
Yeah, sure.
drowns.
What's
Yeah.
happening? Where am I
Dude,
going? He's
if
dying
Falcor
of
just
stupidity. He's dying a Darwin Award death.
if he died because the fireworks hit him in that Chinese New Year scene, which by the way was the day before Halloween.
That looked
Yeah, I was
dangerous
gonna
as shit.
say somehow this is a Chinese New Year movie, but also a Halloween movie.
Also, now it needs to be Halloween to be convenient.
There was no reason for that scene anyway. It was just an excuse to show Falcor, like, hey, it'd be
There
really
was no
cool
need for any of the scenes for like that whole second act. It was like, here's the problem, and then at the end, it's like, here's them solving the problem, and in the middle, it's just here's an hour of fucking shit puppet hijinks in the real world.
Yeah, like just arbitrarily, we've been given. It's like the what do you call it? The tension for the plot was just arbitrarily complicated by like, okay, well, you teleported to the real world, but now everybody's in different places and you have to go get them. You can't wish them.
And Bastion's address.
When this movie started, I was like, Jack Black is going to get the book, and all these bullies are going to fuck with all the creatures, and it's going to get turned into like a cool fucking hell world. And I was like, that could be great. And nothing like that happened. It was just insane.
They
It was
had those
so
bolts of
frustrating.
orange lightning shooting around Fantasia, and the crab
Yeah,
people.
yeah,
The
that
crab
happened.
people.
That happened for like 3 minutes at the end.
Yeah.
It was just why? What
It seemed pretty hellscape at the end.
Also, Jack Black and his one skinny sidekick he always bullied, they really reminded me of Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers.
Oh my God, you're right. It's just the dollar store Bulk and Skull, except for Jack Black is much better than anyone who was ever on Power Rangers. It's not his fault, I think.
Oh, here's a scene I actually liked. I did like when the tree creature, I didn't like enough to know his name, but when he starts seeing the logging thing.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's all those trees are getting rendered and murdered. I was like, okay, there's an actual like good scene in the movie if we're looking for one. So what do I have going for it? Like the solid dark ride night sky near the beginning. Liked all the TVs. That one part was like the Muppet Show and LSD. Is that about
Liked
it?
when it ended, like Falcor.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
right. Falcor was pretty up on that. That was cool. So
I liked the line, "Stop, we must not give in to the nasty."
yeah, again, this one's about abstinence.
What was with the weird obsession towards the end of the movie of like everyone needs their families not to break up? Like, what the? I guess the first movie was about grief and his mom dying, but like, what does that have to do with please, mom and dad don't break up? Like, what
They just
fuck?
got together. Think about how bad that would
and-
look. They were married for like a week.
And Nicole has to go and manipulate him by being like, "Daddy, I love you, Daddy," which is weird as fucking hell. That's so odd, awkward. And also, in the second movie, here's a spoiler: in the second movie, the John Wesley Shipp, who's the dad of that movie, reads the book and helps Bastian out. And in this movie, he's just forgotten about it.
Well,
so sorry about the spoilers, but that movie is not fantastic, but it's worth watching, like, and much better than this.
Do you think Junior just shits rocks? No, it's rock type, because later the tree guy's like, I'm gonna have to change him. Like, whatever, just rocks. Who cares?
Maybe they're type of rocks that have a half-life of they turn into uranium and they fucking kill you.
They're like phosphorus.
Yeah.
The rock mom, the mom of the rocks, was voiced by, sorry, I started saying it before actually getting his name out. Now I'm looking at the wrong page. Anyway, the guy that was Captain Hollister on Red Dwarf. I thought that was fun.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
I give you a name if I couldn't find
was
it.
the mum?
Mac McDonald was the mom. This is Rockbiter, and he's Captain Hollister on Red Dwarf.
Okay, sure.
I didn't. Like I told you, I looked up lots of dumb trivia because then I got to pause the movie for a moment.
Well, it's not like I hated all the voice acting except Falcor. I definitely hated Falcor.
Oh yeah, dragged him down the street.
Yeah, it's so goofy. Like, what the fuck? He was. Sorry, go ahead.
Was so majestic in the first film.
Seriously.
Now he's goofy.
I
mean, like the character goofy, like the man.
Yeah, no, he's the character goofy would be better.
Himself.
I'd rather hang out with him.
The man himself.
Yep. Who's canonically had sex with Jessica Rabbit.
That's right. Do you think
probably at least one more time because he has a son.
Hashtag goofy fucks.
Yep.
Let's see. I guess.
And he has the heart of a warrior.
That is true. Yeah, was he have a keyblade or something? What is it?
No, he stands and fights while the rest of you escape.
Wow.
Oh shit. That's
he's
rad.
ready to give his life. You briefly think he dies.
Just like Sean Connery in Highlander 2.
Yeah.
Ramirez. He's from Spain.
But he's
also Egypt.
He's also from Egypt, yes.
And also still has just a Sean Connery accent. I'm not going to say a Scottish accent because it's not. It's just a Sean Connery accent.
Yeah, I'm sure Austrian people don't talk like Schwarzenegger for the most part. But...
from what I've heard, his accent is like the equivalent of a hick accent in Austria. So he actually usually doesn't dub his own films because he would be laughable.
Oh man, that's sort of like a Goku and Dragon Ball Z. Like if you watch
Maybe
Dragon
maybe
Ball Z
that's
enough,
maybe that's why he did Sergeant Candy in Terminator 3.
oh yeah,
Because he's like, this is
but
what I
that's
sound like in Austria.
Yep.
that makes sense.
Ah, I'm
But yeah,
Sergeant Candy.
if you watch enough like the Japanese original version of Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, you realize that Goku does talk like a hick, but the Japanese version of a hick, because you just
Hmm.
you infer that through subtitles and also eventually realize that it sounds so much more informal than everybody else, which is interesting that they don't bother to do that for the English dub. But
Well, they
Well,
kind of try and make him sound more like superhero-y and
yeah,
they
I
he's
just
am
like
get
the agent of
dumb.
standard.
justice.
They just
But
get standard American. Everybody talks like this. Sorry, I guess I was watching more Dragon Ball without the
Yeah,
Z, but where he's younger.
I,
But
because
a
I went through the
controversial.
manga and then I watched the like Dragon Ball Abridged on YouTube where
Oh,
they
that's
do
a great way to watch it.
yeah. But then whenever I watch the actual American Goku, I'm like, oh yeah, this is not Goku at all. Goku's just a
Yeah,
fucking idiot.
yeah.
And
It's
recently I'm all about One Piece.
Oh, I'm afraid to start. I know there's a bridge version of that, right? Like that's I
That's
mean
what
not a comedy version.
I'm a manga reader, not like a
Ah.
anime watcher. But I watched the Netflix
Cool.
live action one, and then I was like, oh man, I think I'm getting into One Piece. And now I've read like 160 volumes in like 2 weeks.
I actually a couple of podcasters I listen to have gone down the same path, which is interesting. Like maybe it's weird how the live action Netflix version has been a gateway drug for people to
So
go
I started reading One Piece like when I first moved to Japan 6 years ago. I got
Mhm.
like 50 chapters in and sort of gave up. It turns
Mm.
out if I'd read for just like 10, 20 more, I would have got to the scene that hooks you.
Oh man,
And
that's a big investment, but yeah.
The Netflix show gets to that scene, and yeah, there's just a very specific scene that if you get to that bit, you're like, okay, I get why people are into One Piece.
Oh man, someday
they
I'll
do like
break
to
my leg
bury
and I'll read all of it.
they do like to bury it deep, right? For Japanese
I mean,
manga.
that's the thing. That's
Well,
not even deep in One Piece because it's like it's on chapter like 1100 already.
yeah.
Just like the Neverending Story 3, to truly get it, you have to delve into its deep layers and understand those.
I guess One Piece is the actual never ending story, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you want it to live
as,
up to the advertising of the name, yes.
as long
Although
as
then
we
it's wrong. It's like One Piece. One Piece lets them finish, right?
well, they haven't found the
Sounds
One
like a
Piece
one
yet.
issue thing. That's a one-off issue.
The One
It's
Piece
the
is going to be
piece.
the friends they found along the way. We all know it.
We all
Yeah.
know that, yes.
No, I know that.
Even I do.
I'm just contrasting the titles because
I
One Piece
just
goes on forever, but it says one. This is a never-ending story, and it's there's not that much to it.
I just hope for once like the mangaka gets to just live to the end of the story. Like we
He's
need to
really
just stop
young.
having this guy. Oh, good.
He started One Piece when he was like 21.
Shit. All
And
right.
before that, he had his first manga published at 17. He's like the manga prodigy.
Yeah.
He's a
Okay.
go-getter.
Because I'm worried about Hunter x Hunter because that guy is like he's taking a bunch of time off
Is
because
that shit not
that's a
finished?
good thing to do. No, it's not.
Huh.
He took a really long time. He took like 8 years off in the 90s, I think. So it's just been a
There's
very
always someone new to hunt.
but well the thing is the a lot of times the manga will like outrun the anime, but like in this case the anime stopped because they just didn't have enough to adapt
Hmm.
left
Well, at least they
and
didn't just do a load of bullshit made up arcs and then have
absolutely
to
that's
undo them.
the anime is very like good with not having filler in it, but yeah, they just stopped producing that in like 2014 because they ran out of material because he just took a hiatus in the middle of an arc or something. But
As one does.
hopefully, yeah, hopefully, I haven't read any of that extra stuff, but I've heard that it might be something where he might have a hard time writing himself out of that corner, like George R. R. Martin. Like he might not.
You just do it. You just do it, right? Of course, you might be making the crappy next chapter, and hey, sometimes that happens.
Winds of
Like
Winter.
this, like this. This is the crappy next chapter, not written by the writer. He doesn't. He shouldn't even get the
Yeah.
blame.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, he didn't even take time to comment on the shittiness of this movie. He only
Started the
insulted
lawsuit.
the first two. I'm sure if you asked him, he'd say some really mean German thing about it.
Well, this one's not even like trying to adapt one of his books. It's just a
It's a
No,
brand new story.
brand
Hmm.
new
Because the
chapter.
second movie is actually the second half of the book, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, yes.
Kinda.
Well, in a
Kind of.
we made a film sort of way, it is.
Well, because it's not the nothing, it's the endless now because they
Because
got
they
rid of,
defeated the nothing. And
which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
very vague. It's always vague, the thing that they defeat. It's just
I mean, it's
the
always
emptiness is
well,
vague as fuck in
it's
the second
not
one.
vague
it's
in this
total
one. It's
JRPG endings. It's like the cool villain actually dies about 2/3 of the way in, and then you're just fighting a vague presence
But it's
for the
you could
finale.
you could compare it positively to Game of Thrones, and that like the one of the things I really liked about that series is that anything that's like a god power is extremely vague and never like kind of comes right out at you
Yeah,
in
you
that
never
series,
like see face to face one of the gods.
which is great. Like there should always be something mysterious in the background, like the emptiness, or like the rock baby would be really great if it was in the background mysteriously and never talked.
this gives us a very strong, villain identity though, because the Nasties is clearly a team of hooligans, a team of
I mean,
hooligans, of
It's
team of
just
they,
some
hooligans
they just
team.
don't do
some
One of whom
people
anything.
is
who've been
25.
failed by the education system.
Yes. Yeah, Jack Black is clearly his character is clearly a genius. Like they don't even I don't know if that's just that he just really took the role by the horns or whatever it was, but yeah, that guy is immediately just like, I know exactly what we're going to do with this magic book and I will immediately control the situation, which is not something that most bad kids who failed the 12th grade a bunch of times are going to be able to do.
Yeah, he
Well,
works it
it's
out really fast.
so 90s Hollywood that here's this group of literal adults dressed like punks who just want to beat up this 13-year-old.
But it's like the bullies in the first movie were just completely mindless bullshit that in their own way, where it's just a bunch of kids and they just see him and they're just like "Grrr," and just like chase him, and then at the
Mhm.
end he chases them with
Well, that's what
Falcor.
these ones are at the start of the film. But then I guess
Yeah,
he does get them expelled, so they have a legitimate reason to be upset with him for the rest of the film.
yeah. There's almost, I mean, they almost have relationships with each other. It's just that it doesn't really amount to anything.
Mhm.
Except for it, this could I guess I'm trying to say that in the right hands this could have been good and it
Mm.
just wasn't.
Yeah, it's not like there's not a concept here.
Yeah, this not like there
Also,
isn't an
Jack
Academy
Black
Award winning actor
repeatedly
here.
says, "I'm gonna rock his world," which,
He's gonna get nasty with him.
Well, my first note
yeah,
when the Nasties first show up, my note is watch out, the Nasties will probably rape you.
Well, could happen if this is not rated G.
now explain that joke to me.
Which one?
What you just said.
Because they're nasty. It's like a school, right? Like boarding schools and stuff. That's how Charlie Manson got made.
Mm. It just seems like your entire punchline is just the word rape.
Oh, George Carlin give you a explanation of that. No, but that was the energy. Like Mark, you were talking about how there's just so much before we start recording, how there's so much like weird, like uncomfortable sexuality or something.
You're too ill for it to be fun for me to believe for this.
Yeah, I wanted so desperately for there not to be sexual tension between the stepsister and the stepbrother, and
Yeah.
there just was. I was like, no, stop doing this.
Hey man, there's a reason it's the most popular search.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here like, yeah, I wouldn't it make more sense if Ashley's gonna be in high school anyway? Shouldn't he just be like 16 in this movie? Were they like that hard to have like like this actor in there or what?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that they were that hard to have this actor in there. It's the Free Willy guy. They're like, we gotta get the Free Willy guy. Maybe they wouldn't even have gotten the money to make this if they hadn't gotten the Free Willy guy.
Maybe, yeah.
Think about that.
Hey, we got the Neverending Stories. We got the kid from the Free Willy.
We got
We
the
got
dinosaur from Dinosaurs,
yeah,
the
yeah,
baby
not the
dinosaur.
mama.
She writes itself.
Yeah. We got a superstar Nicole, what's her real name? the girl
Who was
with the
the mum?
guitar.
I recognize that actress.
She
Oh,
was actually pretty fun. I put
She
that in
was
my
right,
notes
yeah.
sometimes.
she came out of this unscathed.
I don't know what she was doing marrying that dad, but
The Nicole's real name is Melody K, which is
oh
interesting
yeah,
because that sounds like it has decay in the middle of it. So I'm like, why isn't she more
Ooh.
goth?
mellow decay.
That was when she first showed up, I was like, oh man, she's super goth. And she
Tracy Ellis. This is the mom, also in The Last of the Mohicans, The Age of Innocence, some classy movies, I guess.
I haven't seen any of those. What dumb
Instinct.
shit was she in?
Oh, dumb shit. The Crow, City of Angels.
Oh, that.
Huh.
I never saw that, so I didn't list it. Oh, she's
I've
in
literally not seen anything on her list. So why
he's
do I
on
feel
a
like maybe it's just because I watched this as a kid, huh?
Star Trek Voyager episode. That's fun.
Huh. Which one?
Child's Play. Sixth
Child's
season. Okay,
Play
I haven't worked my way there yet.
was
Sixth season.
The schlubby dad who was like the fake Mark Ruffalo was like he's in a bunch of things.
Mark Ruffalo would have been way too young at this point.
You're right, but you know, the first movie, it was kind of interesting. The first movie had Gerald McRaney, who is like a very older, much older looking man, and then John Wesley Shipp is in the second one looking like way younger, but they were actually basically the same age. And this guy looks older again.
And then John Wesley
Interesting
Shipp's
time
older
clock.
again, because then he's a dad again in The Flash.
Yes, he did become older
Later,
again by
he became
2012. Yes.
He became an older Flash after being the younger Flash.
That was around the time I stopped watching. I'm sure he did other things in that series.
Yeah. Do you want to call this one a flim or a filth?
This is a fuck Falcor.
A fuck Falcor. Okay, this one's nasty. You can call it nasty if you want.
I mean, I don't want to. I don't even want to say I wish it was nastier or I wish it was filthier. That wouldn't have fixed this. This is not.
No, I just wish it was a bit more competent. Also,
it could have.
it just the Neverending Story didn't need one sequel, let alone two, 10 years after the fact.
It needs 12
So
sequels or more.
I'll tell you what bit of
It might
research I
get-
did on this film. So I pulled up the Wikipedia list of like fantasy films by year. And basically, this is the like final nail in the coffin of the old version of Swords and Sorcery. Like 1 year later, you get Dragonheart, which is kind of not the same kind of thing. And there's basically nothing until Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, we stumbled through our Dungeons and Dragons, but I guess that's not this just gloopy Jim Henson Creature Shop form of fantasy.
That's it. Like, because in the 80s had a bunch of these, right?
Yeah.
Puppets and costumes and weird green screen and stuff.
Conan the Destroyer. I'll say one good thing about like every one of these Neverending stories. Each of these stories never ending is 1 hour and 30 minutes. So watching all three of them basically is about
that would be like an extended Lord of the Rings film.
Exactly. Not as good as that, but it's still very digestible. So for something called Neverending Story, at least they were pretty, brief.
But yeah, this is the end of fantasy being about like, oh, I can make a wish and I'm friends with these gnomes. And now it's basically medieval fiction, but there's a dragon.
Well, and this one is basically just
there's a mall.
There's a mall. Yeah, it's
the mall
it does kind of
it's kind of like the turtle sewer.
The whole thing kind of annoys me on the same level as Shark Boy and Lava Girl, that I just wish that we just got a movie in Fantasia and we don't need the framing device. The framing device of the boy reading the book was cool for a minute in the first movie when he realizes they're talking about him. Like that moment was great, but the second movie is just in Fantasia. He's just there.
Oh yeah. Like the actual, I guess the original book, and if that was adapted properly, it's all about that point, right?
Apparently the original book, as you're reading the original book, you're seeing them you're kind of seeing them realize that, or so you're watching him gradually realize that they realize he's reading about them, which sounds
and then
great.
Also like the book like loops because he doesn't do what he needs to do and stuff, and that's why it's the never-ending
Yeah.
story. Whereas
Yeah.
here it's like they did that for one film, and now it's just like here's just some fantasy films which arbitrarily have this kid for no reason.
I will say I do kind of agree with the author that the ending of the first movie is stupid and it's just an ending just to put an ending on it. Like
Yeah.
if he had just stayed in the fantasy world at the end of the first movie, I think that would have been fine, and I think that would have been really good. I like the idea of he's just there now. I think
He's gone, man.
it's like they just stole Wizard of Oz ending kind of, because I think the Wizard of Oz book also did not end like that, right? Now I'm
Yeah, I
just
think the Wizard
asking
of Oz
questions.
book goes on. The Wizard of Oz series in the books goes
Like
on way further. Yeah.
20 books.
But I mean, I
All of
think
my
that
knowledge
Dorothy
of the
doesn't have.
Wizard of Oz books comes from the Terminator TV series, where it's John
What?
Connor's favorite book for some reason.
Mhm.
Huh. I read the second book, and that was like the first book I ever read with a trans character, and that was from like 1902. And I was
Mhm.
like, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. There was a lot of research into trans people, and then the Nazis burned it.
yay. You know
Although not
what?
if you ask J.K. Rowling, she says that's a fever dream.
Oh my God. I'm not,
She's
forgive me
literally
if
into
I do
Holocaust
not.
denial now.
Yeah, forgive me if I do not rely on J.K. Rowling for my Holocaust information. And I think listeners, you should also not rely on her for Holocaust information.
So I guess there's something
Um,
you said for old fantasy, like this
Well,
movie.
there is a
well,
version of Lord of the Rings that could have been made, which would have been
Yeah.
way more like this, right?
Mm.
Because if you actually read the
uh,
books, it's like 50, 50 pages on Tom Bombadil. And then you get to Helm's Deep, and it's not so much of like a gritty war scene. It's like the Ents show up and like the orcs are all devoured by a forest. And it is a lot more magical and whimsical than Peter Jackson's films. So if the
well,
movies had been made 10 years earlier or 20 years earlier, there's totally a version that would have fit into that 80s
Well, there's
trope of
the
what fantasy
animated
looks
one
like.
where they try and jam the whole trilogy into an 80-minute movie or something insane like
I
that.
mean,
Yeah,
there's
they
Orc
basically
Disco.
finish it before the third book even happens. Like they win Helm's Deep and they're just like, and that was the end.
Okay. Haven't seen that
Well,
one.
Ralph Bakshi had stuff going on. I think you barely got that stuff funded. I haven't watched all of it, but I did want to kind of talk to you guys about the analog for me to this is kind of Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. Um, there is something about Neverending Story where it reminds me of Labyrinth in that I didn't really like Labyrinth as much as Dark Crystal because there's a lot of blocking um in those films where there's humans next to puppets, and it's this
Those
weird
humans
like
are David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly.
But David Bowie
yeah
doesn't count as a human. He is a Muppet in that film.
There we go. So there's just one human you have
yeah
to worry
I
about.
might have stolen that from you, Matt.
but I think that anyway a sequel to a fantasy from this period that is good and worth watching and I recommend is the Dark Crystal prequel series on
Because that's just
Netflix.
puppets, right? Like no humans.
It's just puppets. In fact, there's a scene in that spoiler. There's a scene in that where puppets put on a puppet show with smaller puppets.
Hmm.
It
Incredible.
is it's very good, worth everybody's time. The only thing that sucks is it got canceled. But you could just pretend that.
Well, did it say something racist?
Yeah, it said that the Holocaust didn't happen. No, it's
In that
no,
puppet
that
show
actually
with the
won't get
puppets, the
canceled.
puppet show says
No,
that.
no. Well, since it's a prequel, you can just assume that we don't know what happened between the end of the first season of that and the movie. But it's really good, and it does have things to say. Like one of the Skeksis yells sad at some point. They're obviously trying to just make one of them Trump, which is funny to me. Anyway, and Mark Hamill was voiced the Chamberlain, so quality stuff.
Give him a new role, right?
It's
I wish,
much
yeah.
better than this.
I'm always on record of saying like, yeah, I just want an apes movie without any humans. I just want a Godzilla movie that's just about Godzilla. So I'm always down for a prequel that's just the puppets.
I feel
Um,
like we're close to a Godzilla movie with only Godzilla. We'll see what
Kong X
happens.
Godzilla was almost that.
Yeah.
yeah, you don't even see a human until you're what,
Wait,
20 minutes in.
wait. Why don't we get a Planet of the Apes movie with just apes and Godzilla in it?
Then they
Sure.
did
That'd be
do a
great.
comic book of King Kong on the Planet of the Apes. I would love to see that as a film.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm into it.
Although
Anyway.
still my number one wish for a crossover is Fast and the Furious and Transformers.
Also good. I'd watch that too.
So there's a lot of 10-star reviews for this movie. A
Yeah.
lot. Which
I'm gonna read the
maybe is
first one
because it's
because
a
it's
yeah.
short.
Okay, go for it.
First one. This is a work of dream day. Imagine your imagination and your heart. You can understand this film. The lessons and emotions in this film are treasure. People, unfortunately, have forgotten their hearts' dreams, so they never understand this film. This movie, imagination, love, and feelings for people living. 3 of 9 found this helpful.
Was that written by one of the characters from this film?
Possibly. And all I have to do is go to the next one. The next one's just as weird. The third story that never ends. Yes, the story of the never-ending story doesn't stop here. The family fun goes on and on and on and on and on. Get your family ready as y'all go on an exciting adventure through a fantasy land, meet lovable characters, hear stories with great values, and more. Much, much more. But wait, there's more. There's terrific animation, terrific voices, a great story, a great plot. Mix them up, put them all on a greased cake pan, put the pan in the oven already heated up to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and in 30 minutes or less, you've got a great family film that's been nominated for Best Film. Hint, if your movie is not done by that time, it's free. Ha ha ha. That's LOL. I sure hope this series lasts as long as the Land Before Time series. Man, how many more movies can there be? They give this weird cooking instruction. It doesn't make any sense.
All right. I said I wasn't going to read this third one, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing. Best film I've ever seen. Definitely way better than the first. Number 1 was so boring. I felt asleep. But number 3 is nothing short of a masterpiece with amazing CGI and special effects that would give modern films a run for their money. This is from 2021, by the way. Falcor was a huge improvement in this film. He was so lame and boring in the first. The sexual tension Bastion and his stepsister is intense. And the character development of Rockbiter and meeting his family was simply fantastic, making the carrot her, I guess it's supposed to be character, seem less one-dimensionable. Can't wait for number 4.
Keep waiting.
That one was a troll.
Maybe.
No one actually thinks Falcor is better here.
Well,
That's
the
not
one
an
I
opinion
read
a
said
human has.
this was nominated for best film. I don't know, maybe in Germany it wasn't nominated for something.
I'll say
They
on
like
No,
David
IMDb.
just in their personal awards, it was nominated for best film.
No,
maybe.
okay. Awards, 1 nomination, and
Yeah.
it was the nominee at the International Fantasy Film Award for Best Film.
There we
Oh,
go.
there you
Best
go.
film.
International Fantasy Film Award. That's like just a like just a shack
be
where
their
they're
award.
running money laundering award ceremony. Like, oh
Well,
yeah,
this movie almost got an award out of it. So
I used to run a film festival, dude. Trust me, there are people who run film festivals. There was one guy who used to run a film festival here who would just like take all the money and just start the play button on the DVD player and just get on a plane to Costa Rica every year. It's like
that's
absolute
classy.
scumbag. I heard stories about people flying here from Europe and just showing up for their screening, and there's like 2 people and it's just a DVD playing. Anyway,
Any
I
final
can't
thoughts
be
here?
sued because I'm not naming the guy.
Yeah, you got a final thought? I said everything.
We haven't
in my
been talking
notes.
about this film for half an hour. I don't give a shit.
That's
This
the
movie
take.
sucks. I guess it's not as bad as The Wicker Man or The Fog.
Yeah, it was like I sat and watched it and I didn't feel like despondent or anything.
Yeah.
Perfectly I put on the film and time passed. And
And
sometimes
a lot of bad lines were spoken.
Also,
Nonsensical
I watched
lines.
it on YouTube and it went silent every now and then because she was listening to licensed songs.
I was like, I'm gonna do this for real. I'm gonna watch it like properly, which I did, and I got the licensed songs.
Did you pay for it?
No.
I got Kiss from a Rose for some reason, but not the others.
Oh, they
weird.
still played that.
This is
Okay.
really quiet.
They were trying to get the Batman effect going.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I didn't like that movie either. I'm sorry.
Oh, I
sorry,
love Batman
listeners.
Forever. It's better than I
You're the
appreciate
perfect
it very
age.
much.
Why do I like Batman
It's
Forever?
definitely
but
better than
not
Batman and Robin.
what? Okay, yeah. Why do I
I
like Batman
like
Forever then?
Forever and Batman and Robin way more than Batman and Batman Returns.
I don't like
Interesting.
Batman
No,
Returns that much. I actually do like
Batman
Batman
Returns
Forever
is
than
my
Batman.
favorite. So there you go.
That
That's why I'm the emptiness.
I guess because it
I was
just
gonna
smells like
say
penguin shit.
non-derogatory. That makes perfect sense for you.
The movie just smells like penguin shit. Is my problem.
Yeah,
It's
it
a smelly
does.
movie.
It's insane and it's gross. It's like a guy who turns into a skeleton at the end.
The thing is,
And sorry, go ahead.
most of my experience of those films comes post Nolan Batman.
Yeah,
And it's like I've
that's
seen Batman done so much better now that it's weird to go back to those.
Let's get weird.
those are objectively better movies, but Batman Returns is just my favorite. And I
Yeah, I get it.
and I do think even the first one with Jack Nicholson is like kind of flawed. It's a little bit
Oh, it's
awkward,
flawed. It's clunky, but the good
clunky.
part.
Yeah,
It's got that fucking 9-minute Prince song, which
It's
Prince
also
yeah,
didn't
but
make.
like
Batman in those films is not
Vicky
particularly
Vale.
competent or cool.
Vicky Vale.
yeah, but that song is just a bunch of voice clip
Vicky Vale.
pre-ADR voice clips.
Yeah, I know.
I don't like it.
He
I
didn't
don't like
want to
that
do it.
song.
He was assigned to that soundtrack. Warner Bros. Like, let's make some synergy happen. What do we have on our label? We got Prince.
It was supposed to be half him and half Michael Jackson, but I think either Michael Jackson dropped out or Prince was like, I'm not going to split it with Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson was like, no, I got the Sonic 3 soundtrack to be working on.
Oh man,
that was
see, I think
later.
that's kind of better than the Batman soundtrack. Anyway, I just I like Prince better before he like took ecstasy and lost his fucking mind.
The
which was
one I
around
do
that
want to
period.
hear, which apparently is in Prince's vault, his Transformers concept album called Cybertron.
Oh, I do want to
What?
hear that.
I've never heard of that.
That's because it's in
What
the
the
vault.
fuck? Well, I mean, I'm not, semi-obsessive Prince fan. Apparently, I haven't heard all of it. But
Who knows? Maybe that's just some bullshit that I heard somewhere.
Hey, Mark, for
But-
late stage Prince, Artificial Age is a fucking banger.
yes, it is. It's really good. I honestly, a lot of his 2000 stuff, Planet Earth is pretty good, but like, just that specific period, like Diamonds and Pearls,
Okay, good.
was
I'm saying
kind
it
of
with you.
embarrassing. Yeah, it was like had that guy who came out and rapped, and he was like his dancer. He was just like trying to catch up with rappers by letting his dancer rap, and he was like skibbity.
The Love
Kept
Sexy
going,
album cover
skibbity-doo-dah.
is fun.
Right, can we wrap this up?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm using my mobile data just to sit here and listen to you two talk about Prince songs.
Mark, you're up today.
Don't
'cause
worry,
I'm
we're
just
gonna talk
drifting
about
into
Purple
space.
Rain soon, someday. What?
You do the thing because I'm too
Oh,
drifty and
hey,
spacey.
podcast, patreon.com/podcastio podcastius. Check us out. Check out our outtakes. Check out our money that you send us. Check out our gratitude for the money that you send us. Check out other podcasts. Luke Loves Pokemon.
If you don't send us enough money, we'll just fucking stop.
If you don't send us enough money, we will actually just do Neverending Story movies. We will make them and then we'll talk about them.
How's that for a podcast? The Neverending podcast. We just talk about the 3 Neverending Story movies on a loop.
That'll be the
Here
new
we
one.
go
When you don't
insane.
send us money.
We just write shitty fan fiction about the characters. Like this week, I think Bastion is going to have trouble at the dentist, so he wishes for the drill to be something else. Anyway,
we watch the film with the sound off and dub it in real time every week. Just making up our own plots. By the end of it, I bet we'd get pretty good at it because we know what they're about to do.
Okay, Pure Energon is the name of the Prince Transformers concept album.
There you go.
Right. So I guess we're plugging that today then. We'll plug that today.
Oh my god, I want
Pure
that so
Energon.
bad.
See, we're not wasting your time with fucking Prince.
Anyway, more podcasts or Time Enough podcasts about the Twilight Zone space. Podcast 1999 about space 1999. Game show about game. Our real field report is over. Anyway, Monster Mash probably coming back.
I don't know. The guy who would tell you just went off the call. So
I'm just putting words into his mouth.
After you said Pure Energon, I was like, why are you still naming podcasts? But whatever.
I was trying to be responsible,
This is
unlike the
podcast
people
that
who made this
never
fucking
ends.
garbage movie.
My friend, I don't even know the words to that song.
Anyway,
Oh, Feature Zane.
don't get nasty.